Hello, everybody. My name is Ankur Loda. I'm from Cardiovascular Institute of South Lafayette. I'm very happy to present the REACH PVI clinical study results. I would like to thank Dr. Craig Walker for allowing me to present this data at NCB's digital series. REACH PVI clinical study, acronym for Radial Access for Navigation to Your Chosen Lesion for Peripheral Vascular Intervention. These are the following REACH PVI sites and the investigators for this study. For the REACH PVI study, we always had this question is why radial artery access for peripheral intervention? We've been doing radial access for coronary intervention, and we found great success with that. Because there are many factors that can complicate femoral access. There could be bilateral hostile groins, including history of bilateral femoral surgery or obesity. There could be bilateral infrainguinal lesions that could make your access and closure difficult. Presence of kissing iliac stents or bifurcated aortic grafts can also make the access going up and around difficult in these cases. As you can see in the pictures mentioned above, in a highly diseased state, as in the second picture, if you push at the point X, because of the multiple tortuosities and the disease state, the force really gets lost and decomposed by the time it reaches the point Y. Therefore, radial access makes absolute sense in these clinical scenarios. Utilization of radial artery for peripheral vascular intervention therefore provides several unique benefits compared to the femoral access. It reduces access site complications. It avoids difficult sheath placement, allows immediate ambulation and a shorter discharge time, eliminates the need of compression of the femoral artery either manually or through a femoral closure device, which could be associated with complications. And it definitely improves patient experience, patient comfort, and patient safety. However, historically, the use of radial access for peripheral vascular intervention has been limited because of the lack of dedicated extended length equipment. Fortunately, we had the extended length peripheral orbital atherectomy catheter device from CSI. It comes in a size of 180 and a 200 centimeter working length, which would make it feasible for us to perform peripheral interventions from the radial artery. It's 5 French compatible sheath for all extended length devices. And therefore, REACH PVI study was done. REACH PVI study purpose was to prospectively evaluate acute clinical outcomes of orbital atherectomy via transradial access for treatment of PAD in lower extremity lesions. It was a prospective, observational, single-arm, multi-center, which was performed at 6 sites in the US post-market study, for which 50 subjects were enrolled. The primary outcome was defined as procedural success, which was defined as structural successful completion of orbital atherectomy treatment of target lesion via transradial access without serious transradial access-related events. The secondary outcome was with the treatment success defined as final residual stenosis of less than 50% without stent placement, or less than 30% residual stenosis with stent placement and without significant angiographic complications. The inclusion criteria included Rutherford classification 2 to 5. Patient had to have a positive Allen's test, and the target lesion should be appropriate for orbital atherectomy with a transradial access. Once the Viper wire was introduced into the body, then the patient was enrolled in the study. We did have certain exclusion criteria in which it was physician dependent, where a physician was unable to obtain a radial artery access, or if it was determined that transradial access is not the acceptable access for this patient, either due to patient anatomy, lesion characteristic, or disease severity. Or if by any chance, during the case, a femoral access was obtained, the patient was considered excluded from the study. The demographics of this patient were mainly Rutherford 3 or 4 claudication patients with high level of comorbidities, including diabetes, smoking, and hypertension. 54% of the patients enrolled in the study were diabetics. 86% of the patients were either current or former smoker. There was a high incidence of hyperlipidemia and hypertension, up to 86% and 88% respectively. Rutherford classification 3 was the most represented with 62%, and 24% patients were Rutherford 4 claudication. Most of the common target lesions were SFA with high degree of severe calcification. 68% of the subjects who were enrolled were having an SFA disease. As you can see, that there was severe calcification present in 78% of the patients, defined as severe by greater than 180 degree or greater than 1/2 of the total lesion length, which was seen in these cases. Access site for target lesion treatment was left radial artery in 78% of the patients. We've noted that the left radial artery gives an extra length of 10 centimeters because we avoid the aortic arch, and therefore that was the preferred access in these kind of patients. Radial hemostasis compression device was most frequently used with 88% of the cases, and manual compression was performed in the remaining patients. So as you can see that the device's initial guide catheter was anywhere from 4 to 7 French, and whereas radial hemostasis was used in 88% from the device point of view. Non-radial access was obtained in 3 patients, where pedal access was done in 2 and tibial access was performed in 1 patient. Primary reason for access of tibial and pedal was the lesion could not be accessed due to complex anatomy, and in 2 cases, it was due to treater complication. Low final residual stenosis of only 7.6% was seen in this study. We would see that orbital atherectomy treatment was performed in all the 50 patients. However, angiographic complications which required stenting was only seen in 1 patient, and final residual stenosis was very less at 7.6%. Primary outcome and procedural success was very high. I'm very happy to report that 98% of the procedural success was seen in this study. There was no reported serious transradial access related events. Successful orbital atherectomy was done in 50 patients, out of which 49 were done through transradial access. You can see that we did not see in any of the 50 patients any significant radial artery spasm, hand ischemia, nerve damage, pseudoaneurysm, perforation, stroke, or transient ischemic events. As far as the secondary treatment outcomes were concerned, we had 98% treatment success with low significant angiographic complications seen in only 1 of the 50 patients, which was a dissection of type D to F. Other than that, the treatment success was 98% in these patients. Overall procedure showed that the short time to ambulation of only 2.7 hours and length of stay was only 7.2 hours. My understanding after the REACH PVI trial data is that as more and more procedures are being done through radial access and staff is getting more accustomed to this, the length of stay and the time of ambulation should decrease further, probably to less than 1 hour for the time to ambulation and maybe up to 2 to 3 hours for the length of stay for these kind of procedures. One other thing that I would like to point out, that fluoroscopy time, the procedure time, was not significantly higher, even though this procedure was relatively new and we are getting more and more experience out of this. So in conclusion, I would say that this study is a landmark study. It clearly demonstrated that orbital atherectomy can be safely utilized via transradial access. The extended length orbital atherectomy catheter enabled the interventionalist to reach the target lesion. Most common target lesion in the study was the SFA with very high degree of calcification. High procedural success of 98% was seen with no reported serious transradial access related events and a very high treatment success of 98%. 0% serious transradial access site bleeding or hematoma was seen, and a short time to ambulation and length of stay was seen. This would mean that there's key economic benefits to radial access. I would be very happy to say that the REACH PVI study not only has been pivotal study, but is a landmark study for radial access for peripheral intervention. We always wanted some data for the safety of transradial access for peripheral intervention, and we now have great data to support it. After this study, I hope more and more physicians will choose for radial access for peripheral intervention in the interest of patient safety, patient satisfaction. Thank you.